Doors can be a player's worst enemy. Hello and welcome to another D&D game session overview on the Battle and Barrow. My name's Kev and we are going to go have a little storytime session in my incoherent manner. We are we've descended to level 2 of the Castle Mistamere dungeon and we are still trying to find and kill Bargle the Infamous. The players descend into a smallish chamber with doors on the north and south walls. Both doors are closed, and on the centre of the western wall is a statue of a wizard with his arms held out. They examine the statue, and to begin with, the witch wizard examines the statue, doesn't see anything. The ranger examines, doesn't see anything. And then the NPC cleric sort of scolds them a bit after having a quick look and points out the base at the statue. There is writing. The orb is the key. With this, they try to open the north door and it doesn't move. They can sort of feel that it's not locked. There's some sort of give there. The door's stuck. So they all take an attempt to make a strength check with it, and it doesn't budge. So rather than keep trying, they decide to try the south door. Again, it's the same thing, that this door's stuck too. It's not locked, it's just stuck. So they all try, and in the end it's the one with the weakest strength, the elf wizard, who actually passes the strength check. She sort of looks at the burly man and just shakes her head. Also, as they enter, the door opens into a dark vaulted ceiling crypt, to which the ranger instantly shouts out. At this stage I'm beginning to think, they've done really well in our game so far of being quite cautious and steady, and this new brashness seems a bit weird. What they don't know is in this chamber there are 2 ghouls, and because of the actions of bashing the door open and the shout, I rolled for surprise on the players, which they found. Which I didn't tell the players this, but what I did, I used this to move the ghouls up into a more strategic position. They were at the bottom of this chamber. So as the players entered, they instantly see that there are in fact 2 ghouls in this room, and a combat quickly ensues. The first thing they do, and luckily it works, is get the cleric to cast his turn undead ability, which causes the ghouls to flee from him and allows the players to pick them off. So good tactics all around that. Next, there is a door in the sort of eastern side of this room, which they decide to go a bit more cautiously from this point onwards, and I like this idea. They decide to use some lantern oil, because they've got enough for 24 hours and they've only used by this point about 6 hours worth. So they decide to use some of this to oil the hinges so it doesn't creak, and open the doors using a stealth check, which I think is quite a nice, sensible idea if you're going into a dangerous place such as this. So I allowed this, and this one did a really high roll on opening this door. So I allowed him to open it and peek inside using the elf wizard, because she's got infravision, and inside she can detect heat signatures of what looks like kobolds, but also she can notice, for what little light there is, a upturned table in front of her and a door on the other side. She ascertains and passes the information back that this table is there as a defensive measure, and what they do then is just fling the door open, and rightly so, they open door and send the fairy dragon in to cast some, I think it's colour spray they use or something like that, and it causes the kobolds to correctly rush towards the table. Now, I'd already decided that this because what's coming up later on, there is a goblin chieftain further on into the dungeon. So they are not going to flee from here. They're more scared of the chieftain and the rest of the tribe than they are of a few players. So they are going to hunker down behind this table and hopefully pick off the players. So that I'd already decided that tactic. The ranger has some metal ball bearings that he tried to use before and didn't go too well, and he decided to have the plan again to repeat that plan. Throw the ball bearings behind them, overhead and behind them, and hopefully disrupt them. I was fine with this. I made him do a dex throw, a range attack so to speak, and the ball bearings did go behind where he wanted, but it would do no good because the kobolds were not going to run that way anyway. So I was sort of sitting there stone faced as he made this plan. With that, they enter the room themselves and deal with the kobolds, and they deal with it using a level 2 sort of, was it Burning Hands spell from the wizard that literally melts everything, including the metal ball bearings and any treasure they had. It did so much devastation. They enter the next room and come to a similar sized chamber with a well on the northeastern part of the room. They get the cleric to check out the water, and it's just pure drinking water. Throughout this adventure now, so I don't want to keep saying it, they oil the hinges and stealth check to open the door, and they all succeed. There's not what I was hoping there'd be one where it'd go devastatingly wrong, but it didn't. So next time they try the north door, and they come to a rather large chamber full of kobolds, and this on the east wall there is a stone dais with on top of which sits a stone throne that has been bejeweled in garish jewels and gems. I think and this is the kobold chieftain's throne. I guess he thinks this is the height of fashion and power, but it looks awful. They decide not to go through there yet and go through the eastern door in the well room, and they open it and come across a barracks of sorts. There's little bones and sleeping kobolds. So now they're at a choice. What do? Go through the throne room or the barracks room? There's another door on the far side, so they go through the barracks room. There are 2 kobolds playing a game in the center of the room. The 2 kobolds are playing dice, so the players rush in to try and get surprised, which they do. Manage to dispatch the 2 sleeping the 2 awake ones, and just as the sleeping ones are waking up, they dispatch those 2. They search the room, and one of the kobolds has a bag of devouring, which he thought was just a normal magical bag, and he's been putting all his loot and treasure inside, and it's eaten it. Then the players discover this because they find out it's magic, but they decide to test it, putting some gold coins in, and the coins get destroyed. The ranger takes this and plans to use it in the future. I am sure he'll have a clever plan for it. They return to the well room and decide they might as well deal with the chieftain. Hopefully that might make any other kobolds lose faith and flee. So they send Newt in, and he casts his I want to say the spell's colour spray, but it's something to do with poison anyway. So it's got a 5-foot radius, so he has to float above them, which he does that, and in the confusion it allows the players to basically rain down a load of range weapon attacks from where they are, pretty much the entranceway, and quickly dispatch these kobolds. They are kobolds after all, good in numbers. They return to the barracks room and rightly ascertain there's 2 sort of multiple doors in the throne room. They rightly ascertain that the other southern wall door would lead to the barracks, which they do. They open the other door in the barracks and come to a sort of T-junction with doors on every point of the junction. they decide to take point at each door to try and open it. Unfortunately, on the stealth check on one door, the cleric fails, so we decide that he actually managed to knock himself prone doing this. The ranger opens his door and disturbs some kobolds who are, it's another barracks, and they're playing a game that utilises a rat, an apple core and a pair of sticks, and I so want to come up with rules for this game. During the combat though, he rolls a natural one and we're using a fumble table system and he rolls a result that knocks him prone. So now we are dealing with two characters that are knocked down prone in one turn. They manage to get up and quickly dispatch these kobolds, and there's not much treasure amongst them. They're kobolds after all. In the other door, the south door actually has some stairs that lead down to a lower level, which they correctly guess that's probably where they really want to be going. But they're still intrigued by that statue at the beginning, and they want to find this orb. They question one of the kobolds before they dispatch it, and he sort of doesn't really know what they're talking about, but shouts out something about an orb being in the bug area. With that, they open the next door, and I don't know what it is about this room, and I haven't done this in the other rooms, but they decide to send Newt in this room just in case there's a trap in there. I think it's because this room was largely empty. It's quite a large room and it was empty. So they send Newt in, but he flies, and there is indeed a trap in this room. On the door that they would come in from, there is a pressure plate that has a collapsible ceiling. Now this isn't a slow Indiana Jones timed thing. This is, as soon as you push that plate, that ceiling springs down on top of you. You've got a split second to get out the way. But Newt, of course, doesn't trigger this trap, and he flips all around the room. They send him all around the room, and as I said, when this happened, I was really weirded out because they hadn't done this before. But this room creeped him out for some reason. It gave him the spook. So they send Newt in. He comes back fine. So then Witchy Poo enters, and as soon as she puts her foot on the floor, she feels it underneath her foot, the trigger and the ceiling come down. She makes a dex saving throw and makes it spectacularly and dives out the way of the ceiling. They make a little quick investigation to see where it is, and they do find the pressure plate and work out that's what causes it. But they don't decide to disarm it. They decide to jump over it and leave it active, just in case they need to try and get some monsters squished underneath. I thought this was a very good plan. They decided to, there's two doors in here, one on the north wall, one on the east. They open the one on the east, and inside are some bugs and a treasure chest. In their minds, they're thinking this is the room the kobold must have been talking about, where the orb might be. So they come up with a plan to get everyone out the room on the other side. The ranger will startle the bugs, trigger them, use a dash action to double his move, and then leap over, making an acrobatics check, I think we decided, over the plate. I wanted to do that just in case he failed spectacularly and would get caught in there himself. Leap over it and get the goblins to follow him. He does this and it works superbly, except for one thing. The bugs only move 30 foot a turn, so after he's done all that, they do indeed chase him, but they're only halfway in. So now they've got this problem where the bugs are going to come in slowly. Well, they do, and one of them does indeed trigger the plate, but what they do, it has a chance to do a dex save as well. So they figured this out, so the cleric, who is the strongest out of the party, steps in front to try and hold it there while it does this, which he does. The bug fails its dex save anyway and triggers the trap, and which the ceiling comes down and squishes them all, killing them all instant. With that, they decide that the best course of action is to go down the stairs. But at that stage, we're run out over our allotted time we're going to have for this game, so that will be the next time. I like this. There's no need to keep searching the entire dungeon on this level. They decided they know where they need to go and what their mission was. There's no point in doing 100% clearance on such things. That would only lead to death. So I like their plan. But that's it for this session. Until the next one, I think I'm going to have a week break. I think we're on at the moment until we get back to regular scheduling. We're on every other week. So this, at the time of recording this, again this weekend there won't be plans. It'll be the next one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, hit the like, subscribe and all that good stuff. Until the next video, stay safe and take care.